Lunar infection. Lenka came to our city quite recently and we became friends precisely because he had a dog. Such a cheerful and funny dachshund, whose name was Max. Lenka's parents used to work at a chemical plant, and now at a meat processing plant in our town. Lenka said that they need to pay the mortgage, so they work 7 days a week and are almost never at home. So Lenya was left to his own devices, and to Max. At first I didn't notice, but then I began to see that my friend had some strange things and habits. For example, he never invited me home. I never walked after sunset, and I never saw him eat. Now it seems to me that I should have noticed all this, but then, for some reason I didn't see it then. One day Maxic disappeared and we looked for him all over the yard. The dog crawled into the basement and howled loudly, refusing to come out. Lenka called her, threw cookies and even sausage, but Maxic refused to come out. Lenka kept looking at the sky, to where the sun was slowly moving towards sunset. I need to go home, he winced painfully, but how can I leave without Max? What time do your parents arrive? I asked. They won't be there today. Then what did you do home and home? Look how Max howls, he must have found something. Let's go into the basement and take a look. Don't think, I'm not afraid. Lenka stepped back, still looking at the sun lost behind the houses. My parents just forbid me to be outside after sunset. Why? Cannot say. What are you saying, aren't we friends? Of course, friends, Lenka exhaled, that's why I won't tell you. I have to go. What about Max? He will come back, they all always come back. The sun sank even lower, leaving its last rays. Lenka ran to the entrance, and I followed him. The dog howled unbearably. I run very fast, but Lenka was flying like a supersonic plane. I was never able to catch up with him and, finding myself at his apartment, I pressed the bell button. What do you want? I heard my friend's hoarse voice behind the door. Don't be stupid, open up, I won't go anywhere now until you tell me. Lenka opened the door and pulled me inside. What a fool you are, Sashka. Oh, am I the fool? I almost got offended. If you find out about everything, my parents will force me to kill you. What kind of nonsense? Are you kidding? Believe me, I have no time for jokes now, Sasha. At some point, I noticed how pieces of fur began to appear on Lenka's body. He turned into something vile and terrible. Numb, I stood and looked at him, as a mouse usually looks at a cat. After a couple of minutes, a fetid muzzle hung over me, and saliva dripped directly onto my face. I don't have enough words to convey how stunned and scared I was, but Lenka, who had become a monster, did not rush at me, but only licked my face. Hide, the creature croaked, and now I listened to him, climbing into the closet and hiding among the dresses and jackets that smelled of mothballs. Soon the door opened and Lenka's parents appeared in the room with a huge bundle. When they unwrapped it, I almost vomited. These were butchered body parts, human arms, legs, torsos and heads. Are you late today, Leonid? Mom asked sternly, taking off her jacket. Yes, Sashka and I couldn't get Maxic out of the basement, whined the monster, who until recently was my friend. Dad and I already ate at work, Mom smiled. And I witnessed the terrible meal that the parents prepared for their son. All night I could not close my eyes and watched as Lenka slept peacefully near the not-human remains. In the morning he was the same boy. His mother, who seemed like such a kind woman, came into his room and kissed him, telling him that it was time for him and his dad to go to work. When the door slammed, I got out of my hiding place and saw Lenka open his eyes and shake his head in fear, pressing his finger to his lips. The door swings open, and two monsters, so similar either to people or to wolves, slowly enter the room. You shouldn't have listened to your friend Sasha, Lenka's mother growled and rushed at me. At the last moment, I jumped onto the windowsill and jumped out the window. I don't know by what miracle I survived. I jumped from the 3rd floor and caught myself on tree branches. A terrible howl scattered throughout the yard. I fell from the tree and hit the stones painfully, losing consciousness. I woke up to a warm and wet tongue. It was Maxic licking my face. Maxic, I stroked him and saw that I was all alone on the playground. I knew that they would find me and with difficulty squeezing through the bars I climbed into the basement, where Max sat all night. Now I saw what the dog dug up. There were human remains everywhere, gnawed, with decaying flesh. This horror stayed with me for the rest of my life, but I didn't want to get out into the yard. Huddled in a far corner and covered with some rags, I sat there until the yard was filled with voices and children's laughter. Maxic did not leave and sat next to me until I got out. I never saw Lenka again. The police came, all sorts of experts, journalists who found so many body parts in the basement. The apartment was sealed, and I was taken to a special clinic for people like me. Because of my childish stupidity, I had the imprudence to tell them the truth. The doctors are waiting for me to stop talking to the dog. Maxic remains with me. Doctors say that there is no dog and this is just a figment of my imagination. But I don't believe them. Werewolves, too, according to the doctors, are a figment of my imagination, but I have seen them. I saw them. Sometimes I hear a lonely howl near the hospital walls. I jump out of bed and look out the window. I hope Lenka will tell me about everything someday, especially after I wanted to eat my neighbor, who was too fat and too appetizing. I looked towards the sleeping Psycho. Psycho? I smiled. Why not?